breaking up protests and waves of arrests of students in solidarity with Gaza at American universities. Security forces forcefully dispersed a student sit-in at Northeastern University in the city of Boston in the western United States, dismantling the tents and closing the protest square with iron barriers. This coincided with a campaign of arrests at other universities witnessing protests in solidarity with Palestinians and condemnation of the Israeli war on Gaza. More than 100 students were arrested during the dispersal of the sit-in at Northeastern University, which took place early Saturday morning local time. Large numbers of security forces, some in riot gear, were deployed around the protest area and at the university entrances to prevent students from gathering again. While the university administration and Boston authorities claim that the sit-in violates student conduct rules, dozens of students continue to gather occasionally in front of the police, chanting slogans demanding an end to the genocide in Gaza and the cessation of the suppression of peaceful student protests. Arizona State University in the eastern United States witnessed the arrest of 69 individuals on charges of trespassing, after they set up tents without permission, according to the university. In the capital, Washington, participating students in the ongoing sit-in at George Washington University called for solidarity as their sit-in entered its third day. The students reiterated their commitment to continue the sit-in despite threats of its dispersal and the suspension of the participants' university memberships. The protesters also called for solidarity with the Palestinian people who have faced brutal violence over the past 6 months, funded by American taxpayer money and student tuition fees, according to their statement. On the other hand, the administration of the University of Pennsylvania in the west of the country called on the protesting students on campus to disperse due to what it described as blatant violations of university policies. It stated that while it supports everyone's right to peaceful protest, it is compelled to protect the safety and security of the campus community due to credible reports of harassment and intimidation. The university condemned what it described as the vandalism of a statue in front of the university building with anti-Semitic writings, stating that it will investigate it as a hate crime. In response, Arab students at the University of Pennsylvania expressed disappointment with the university's allegations before conducting a proper and fair investigation. A statement from their association said, "We call for further investigation into the graffiti incident and urge the university to consider the testimony of witnesses present during those violations." The Muslim Student Association at the University of Pennsylvania urged the administration to carefully consider its future actions and ensure their alignment with the university's principles of equality and justice. Ohio University, in the west of the country, witnessed a wave of arrests targeting 36 individuals, including 16 students, for their participation in solidarity protests with Palestinians. Ben Johnson, a university spokesperson, stated that security forces arrested the students and other participants on charges of trespassing onto university grounds, emphasizing that the arrests came after several warnings to disperse the protest and the camp they set up within the campus. Minouche faced significant criticism following her decision last week to summon the New York police to the campus, resulting in the arrest of more than 100 students in solidarity with Gaza, as well as due to her previous testimony before Congress, in which university professors accused her of capitulating to Republican demands in Congress regarding freedom of expression and the discipline of students and faculty.
UN concern.
The United States authorities' handling of student protests across universities has raised concerns for the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. The spokesperson for the commissioner, Jeremy Lawrence, told Anadolu Agency that the arrest of hundreds of students in American universities represents a harsh police response to protests in support of Palestine. Lawrence affirmed that the right to freedom of expression and assembly is fundamental. He added that the Commission is aware of reports of anti-Semitism and anti-Islam in the protests, emphasizing that they must also be condemned and stopped. On the other hand, police campaigns against protesting students continued, with more than 600 students arrested since the beginning of the protests. Riot police arrested about 100 demonstrators at Northeastern University in Boston during the dispersal of the students sit-in on campus. The university stated that the police carried out these arrests, but it said through a platform announcement that students who presented university IDs were released while those who refused were detained. The university alleged that the protests witnessed violent anti-Semitic insults. At Arizona State University, security forces arrested 69 individuals for establishing an unauthorized camp, according to the university administration. The university administration added that the detainees would be charged with trespassing, noting that most of them are not students or employees of the university, according to its statement. A statement from the Indiana University Police in Bloomington announced the arrest of 23 protesters who were asked by the police to remove their protest tents but refused, leading to their arrest on charges of criminal trespass and resisting arrest. CNN reported yesterday that Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri issued a statement regarding ongoing protests in support of Palestine within the campus. The statement said that the police arrested more than 80 individuals, and the students camping on the campus have malicious intentions and could be dangerous. Similarly, the University of Southern California announced through a platform announcement a temporary closure of the campus to this movement in support of the Palestinian people and against the Israeli war on Gaza began 10 days ago at Columbia University in New York and spread to dozens of universities and educational institutions from California to New England. Protest at a Canadian university. The movement also spread to neighboring Canada, where, for the first time, a protest was held at McGill University in Montreal. Organizers stated that they entered into an open protest to stop the genocide in Gaza, as they reiterated the demands of their counterparts in the United States to divest from Israel-related investments and boycott Israeli academic institutions. The protesters raised banners accusing their institution and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of financing genocide, in addition to slogans calling for the liberation of Palestine.
Solidarity outside Harvard University.
At Harvard University, demonstrators gathered in front of the main gate of the American university, where behind it, university students are holding a sit-in demanding an end to the war on Gaza and the severance of ties between the university and Israel. The demonstrators stated that they are touring the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Harvard University to show support for the students in their peaceful protests and their legitimate and just demands. According to a news report from the Harvard Crimson student newspaper, the support rally for Palestine led by the protesting students in Harvard Square continues. After the students raised the Palestinian flag in the square, the police requested the removal of the flag, and university staff took it down, while the protesters chanted slogans in support of Palestine. Harvard University warned protesting students within its premises of facing expulsion and not receiving the graduation certificates, especially with the graduation ceremony approaching. Sally Kornbluth, president of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge, Massachusetts, announced that severance of communications with the protesting students in the University Square protesting the war on Gaza and demanding the severance of ties between the institute and the Israeli army. The institute's president, in a written message, stated that she tried to communicate with the students to reach a solution to end the sit-in, but found insistence on all their demands, adding that the institute is keen on its relationships with all parties. Kornbluth urged the students to end their sit-in, warning that the sit-in constitutes a serious violation, and that they may face disciplinary action.
Criticism of the police.
On the other hand, the American Civil Liberties Union for Universities stated that a person can criticize Israel's actions even with offensive language without being considered anti-Semitic. The union called on university administrations to leave ample room for students to express themselves. A spokesperson for the Individual Rights Foundation said that police summons entail risks and undermine trust between universities and students. CNN quoted the spokesperson as saying that university administrations summoning armed police to campus would be a dark memory. Senator Tim Kaine condemned the use of the National Guard in dealing with university protests in support of Palestine.